in. And good to see you, firstly. And for the benefit of all of you who are joining us for the first time, Dr. Sameer Parekh obviously needs no introduction. Dr. Parekh is a very, very distinguished practicing, I would say, right, doctor to begin with, but his specialization is that he is MBBS, DPM, and MDs, I would say psychology, consultant psychiatrist, and Dr. Parekh is at present Director of Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences for Fortis National Mental Health Program for Fortis Healthcare. Just to quickly outline today's conversation, before we even go there, firstly, as I mentioned, Dr. Parekh is not new to us. He was with us last year as well. We did a fairly long engagement with their team, which was a week-long program. Having said this, I thought there were a few queries from the members who were wanting to have a session for students actually, which is around the mental well-being of the students. But just to outline today's conversations and what we would like to cover in this, possibly because our idea is to keep this fairly dialogue-led. And Dr. Parekh, however, we would like you to give us, say, opening remarks of yours with respect to the current status of, given the situation around us, how an individual immaterial of the profile they wear, which is either a teacher or a student or a principal, because obviously we are restricting ourselves to a very specific audience of school education to begin with. How can they take care of their mental well-being? What are the things that can they keep in mind while we all navigate these difficult times? And I was not just reading, it is my own personal view that how the entire environment of the house, because we are spending considerable time being with our families, is also impacting few things which you can throw some light on for that matter. So as I said, the canvas is that our audience is all school leaders. What we are falling back to you is that we are getting these edgy students as well. The students have a lot of questions right now. Their board examination are fluctuating from one day to another. So there are too many, I would say, moving pieces. Hence, the entire question of mental well-being comes to the centerpiece, I would say. So with that as like a opening remark from my context of what my audience will be looking forward to, I hand it over to you. And then the later half of this entire conversation, we will keep it as a Q&A from the members. And then we will say thank you to you by 6 o'clock. That should be our format for the day. Over to you, Dr. Parekh. And welcome once again, sir.
Thank you. See, I think we need to be, I was talking to a group of students yesterday also. Let's be very clear about this. A pandemic is a pandemic because it affects everybody. There is nobody who can be untouched by this pandemic. And that's a harsh but actual reality, whether we like it or not. Now, whether you are directly affected, indirectly affected, all that is secondary. But the fact is you would be affected, can't change that fact. That's one aspect. The second aspect, which I think is very important, is that people who are in a role like yours, where you have a direct impact and influence on children, young people, I think it's very, very important that how you handle these pressures is also going to be very important. I've been saying this to parents for quite some time actually, that, you first handle your anxiety. You first handle your restlessness. If you, and you know this better than most people actually, if you talk to children, you'll realize a lot of what they are saying is what they've heard or observed, be it in parents, be it in teachers, be it in the media. And there is so much of unnecessary stimulation, largely incorrect, which is hyping our entire problem manifold. I mean, if we look at, it's difficult to say, but probably the kind of crisis that we are going through would have been different had we panicked a bit less, had we followed medical guidelines, not be in a rush to get a bed, not be in a rush to, or get into this whole cycle of oxygen. There are guidelines, doctors know what to do. Most people, as we know, can be well taken care without needing the so-called fancy drugs which are not available, because the percentage of people requiring that is not very large. But we've also reacted. That's one part of it. Second part of it is, I think we have been absolutely irresponsible in the last few months. I mean, there is no other way to put it. We can't mask our own irresponsibility. And it's not about one state, one city or the other. Collectively, we failed ourselves. It's all fine to blame the governments, and it's all fine to blame the healthcare infrastructure. But the fact of the matter is, for the past several months, we were behaving as though COVID was in history. And there was nothing like that. And this is during times when we are all so aware. We all know most countries had a second wave, which was worse than the first one. Some had fourth waves. A lot of countries went into their second lockdowns. This is what we were aware of. The same population that is swayed by YouTube messages or WhatsApp messages, forwards, Twitter, are the same people who are also aware what has happened all places. This is the same population that created a ruckus about approval of vaccines, and then a ruckus about whether we should take vaccine or not. Then it took a while for people to actually start taking vaccines. And now we are saying give vaccine to everybody and we want everything for a population like ours overnight as it's a 2-minute noodle. But I think to me, the most disappointing aspect of this pandemic, and if I compare myself to my last interaction with you, when I had last spoken to this audience, this group, I had a lot of optimism about how society was evolving and standing up for each other, being responsible, using all the COVID appropriate behaviors and all, predominant population. It just swapped. We use things like, oh, we got fatigue. What fatigue? You were sitting at your home with your own family. What fatigue? Let's not misplace words. And there is no substitute. I mean, I have seen people going without masks, huddling up into vehicles, parties, friends over, cousins over. As we speak, marriages are happening today. Right? And the government will say that let there be only 50 people. If you will have 80 people or 100 people, do you expect the government to come to every family and do a count? Don't they have anything better to do? Whose responsibility is it? It's our responsibility. And why would you be sending, now that when people are talking about it affecting children, now we are thinking, yaar, bachcho ko, let's not send them to playground. What were you thinking earlier? I think it's very important for adults to become responsible, except that we have messed up. We need to course correct. It starts from us. COVID is very similar to a crossing. If it's a red light, you stop. You can't say today I'm in a hurry, so I'll skip the red light. That is nonsense. So COVID appropriate behavior is first thing. So before we even come to what you should do as educationists, you need to first be ambassadors of COVID appropriate behavior. You have no excuse to sit in your cafeteria if your teachers are coming to school, sitting together and having a chai. You have no excuse to do that. And you can't say this is some kind of a bubble we created, because that is rubbish. You can't be serving snacks. You can't be having a chai biscuit together. It's not possible. You want to meet, you meet with COVID appropriate behavior. And you meet only if it is absolutely essential. All other forms of engagements have no business. It's a month and a half. Let's get out of this wave and then think about it. But we cannot afford to lose more lives. And I feel a lot of angst here because the medical fraternity, the kind of pressure it is under, it's unbelievable, right? I mean, most doctors would be sleeping. what, 3 hours, 4 hours if they're lucky. They're constantly trying to do something, constantly on the go. The kind of pressure, try wearing a PP for 15 minutes and talking at the same time and walking also. And I have seen, I had, this is a couple of weeks back, I remember I had, as a part of what we were doing, I had to travel. And this is much later, actually, not in the initial part when people were behaving themselves on flight. And I boarded the flight and I refused to sit. I told the cabin crew, I am not sitting if the middle seat is not wearing the PP. I'm not sitting. You change my seat. And you see that they are giving before boarding shields and people are putting the shields in the bag. What will you do with the shield at your home? And at the same time, we were okay with food being served in airlines. Absolutely bizarre behavior we've done. Sometimes in the garb of economy, sometimes in the garb of revival. But we could have done the same thing in a sensible way. Surely you can take a flight for 2 hours without eating food. I mean, surely that can't be a very difficult thing to do. Children take a 3-hour exam without eating a food break. I mean, what are we talking about? So I think we have to be honest before we talk about what to do next. Be honest to your own selves. Be the role model that we are supposed to be and keep encouraging COVID appropriate behavior. I said this a couple of days back, so I'm repeating it here. There are two sides as far as I am concerned of COVID appropriate behavior. One is what you all know, medical advice, ICMR guidelines, sanitization, physical social distancing, masks. But the other side of COVID appropriate behavior is compassion, responsibility, connectedness, supporting each other, empathy, altruism. That's also COVID appropriate behavior. You can't hoard oxygen thinking you might need oxygen and somebody else is not getting oxygen because you decided to just keep it as though it was a bottle of cola. It's not okay. It's not okay to keep an antiviral just thinking, what if I get it? That's such nonsense. So first, I think we should use this opportunity. I think all schools, when we talk to children, should have lots of conversations of learnings of COVID. Learnings, so that children realize the importance of basic social values and social responsibility. That is the key of education. What's the point of learning maths and physics and bio and chem if you cannot even relate to people and do what you're supposed to do? What's the point? So I think first, let's be role models of COVID appropriate behavior. Second, let's keep talking about COVID appropriate behavior in every class that is conducted. Every class, there should be 2 minutes to 3 minutes where you talk about, remind people again and again. You remind about homeworks, you remind about submission dates, you remind about iCards, remind about attendance, remind about school uniform. Instead of that, remind about COVID appropriate behavior. I think that's something that you need to do first. Having said that, how do you deal with the anxiety of children dealing with exams? I am very, very clear about this. Exams are not in your control. Exams are not in my control. Frankly, right now, exams are not in anybody's control. The best case scenario was what they've done. That, okay, on June 1st, we'll tell you when it will happen. If it will happen in 15 days, we'll do that. I don't think there was any other solution. I don't think it is very easy to just call off grade 12 exams because, like it or not, you know better than anybody else, it may have an impact. It's fine to do that with grade 10, grade 9, grade 11, but grade 12 becomes a bit dicey and we all understand that, even though it is happening worldwide. So what is happening is, so what I am telling students is, you prepare as though your exams are on June 1st. If they get delayed, wonderful, you get more time. So if the question students are asking, what if they are postponed again? Well, what if they are postponed again? Then you'll keep studying a little bit more. What if they are cancelled? Nobody knows that. The likelihood of an exam cancelling are not the highest. If I study, will it go waste? Studies never goes waste. It will only, some more thing will settle in your brains. It will help you in your future. And I am not able to find the motivation to study anymore. Remind them it's a level playing field. every student across the country is in the same position. So it's not that you've been targeted or you are the only person in this boat. There is everybody's in the same boat. So you neutralize the me factor here, that an individual does not individualize or personalize. Ensure that they understand it's an external control, which means it's not in your control. जो चीज आपके control में नहीं है, you just accept it. Ensure that motivation is retargeted, which means I have 2 months to the final exam. If the date change, fine, I'll have 3 months to the exam. And keep continuing with that. And because they've studied a while, so ensure that the balance of unwinding recreational stimulation is given value by parents and teachers also. Because you really can't be telling a grade 12 child who would have typically been over with his or her exam right now, almost over, to say that utna hi padho jitna pehle pad rahe the. That's not possible. So what you do is you ensure that the likes, and I've been telling students this, so I tell them, you want to be on social media, go ahead, be on social media, but how about pick up a theme, something that appeals to you. So I think schools should have a lot of these competitions which involve social media messaging, which means, okay, let's create a campaign on COVID appropriate behavior. Let's create a campaign on animal rights. Let's create a campaign on environment. Let's do that. So if they are on the social media, which they are, so you use that to ensure that they do something more constructive, more positive. You also encourage things like plants, indoor plants, or whatever else they can do based on what their background is. You encourage them to go to basic reading. You can read, and there is so much literature available. You can pick whatever genre you like. Encourage them to pick up creative arts. Encourage them to keep talking to their parents, keep talking to students, keep talking to each other. And every other day, every day or every other day, in one of your classes that you do online, let it be a non-academic conversation, which is about learnings and things like that. You need to bring the relevance of what's happening outside into the computer screen. That's very important. Because we can't expect to make children believe that it's all happening fine outside. Now let's just focus on trigonometry. That's not going to happen. So education needs to become more and more relevant to the modern day times, so that children are able to understand that yes, there is a crisis out there, and that's why we are doing what we are doing. And we also keep on addressing that, because sometimes children are getting a lot more worried. I still believe over this 1 year, children have handled this far better than adults have. I think children by and large have been very responsible. Everybody keeps asking me what has happened to the mental health of children. I still believe children have done it much better than adults. I think we should worry about the mental health of the adults who had their own issues. At the end of the day, when Delhi announced the curfew, we had lines outside the liquor shops. Clearly adults have a problem. That they forgot COVID appropriate behavior for a few hours because they thought they should stock up alcohol. Life can get this stupid, right? It can get this stupid. And we have the opportunity of so many years with children that they don't grow up to become as stupid as we are. And that's the concern. So that's what has to be our approach. At the same time, leaders in all positions, be it education, be it healthcare, be it government, be it media, leaders need to change the leadership style. In fact, I'm just going to start this series of leadership in crisis. I'll share it with Mr. Yadav as well. The fact is, leadership style in crisis has to be different. It's not about the target. It's not about the goal. It's about sustenance and reducing negative mental health outcomes. So your role suddenly becomes a lot more about not how many children passed, but how many children continue to stay safe and continue to be happy. How many teachers were given the support that their engagement with the school, with the organization becomes stronger because they know in times of crisis they were supported. How many parents understand that how the school went out of its way to ensure that the child is taken care of, not just academically, but overall. And that role is what modern day leadership in crisis is all about. You bring that approach, and to do that, it starts with self-care, and then it encourages other people's self-care so that we build a resilient society. Like it or not, you'll have to give time out for yourself. I find it, I struggle to find that time, to be honest, but I find it. I end up splitting my time in listening to music. I've realized that when I'm doing my teleconsults, I'm able to play something very light that doesn't disturb my console, but I feel fine. So, an afternoon raga, if it's an afternoon evening raga, but something that plays. Got in the habit that the moment I get up, the first thing is to switch on some music, even before I'm out of the bed, based on what I like, of saving it for the next day so that the mind is habit, not stopping reading no matter what happens, no matter when I am going to bed, even if it's half a paragraph, I read it because it still helps it unwinding, takes away the thoughts of the day. Spending time with plants, watering plants, again, something that I force myself to do, and at that time I don't keep my phone with me. And taking breaks in the middle of the day also, even if it is a short break, but in my head, it needs to be a break. It may be a 5 minute, sometimes an hour break. So all of these things, why? Because if I won't survive this. I did not survive as a functional individual, and my functionality is as important. And here, if I fail as a leader, then so many people around me fall like pieces of Jenga because they wouldn't know whom to look up to. So I have an increased role in taking care of myself. So I think that's the long and short of what I think is there. Now feel free and have a freewheeling conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Parekh. Always, as I said, very practical and forthright, if I may use the word, which is in today's. And I completely understand your point of view as well, that I think we as an adult could have really behaved a little better. But having said this, maybe this is a sort of a kick we needed at our back. So we've all got it in a way. But having said this, I think what you really outlined is a very important aspect, which is about compassion, empathy. I think that's something which should be should be the need of the hour currently. And I was mentioning it in the beginning as well, that IPN is not about only hosting sessions for members. For me, IPN is about a family, and if I can be of help, or IPN family can be of help to you at any capacity, please do feel to reach out to. I am actually creating something. I should be ready with it by tomorrow, which actually makes a very organized effort wherein someone who is today in a desperate need, if we can collectively help that person, trust me, that's the real part of being in existence, if I may say. Otherwise, there's no point creating a network which doesn't help a person when he or she needs it, for that matter. So as I said, that only reaffirms our faith, Dr. Parekh, what you mentioned. Thank you very much for your, as I said, very forthright views. And I open up the house for a dialogue. If you have any specific question, anything, if I may say, or if you have implemented something in your institution which you would like to share with us, please feel free, I would say, right? And let's keep this as a dialogue wherein no one is judging you, by the way, how good or bad an observation you have. So please participate. And firstly, I somehow like people who are on video. So please come on video. I mean, we don't like to talk to people on bot format, which is, we don't know what is at the back of your window, right? So that's better. That looks far more better. Yes, thank you very much. And a quick virtual show of hand, and Dr. Parekh is with us, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity to interact with him. Manakshi ji, good to see you, and your question, please go ahead. आपको unmute करना होगा, but हाँ, नहीं कर पा रही हैं आप? अच्छा, okay, ठीक है. I have now enabled that. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, I tested COVID positive, and with God's grace, I just finished my home quarantine 2 days back. My question to Dr. Parekh is, at times I was strong enough throughout my home quarantine, But at times I get up in between midnight and just I explore, am I okay? एक अजीब सी घबराहट होती है. Am I okay? Sometimes I sit and check my oxygen levels. So just I want your more light on this. How can I cover up fast? Weakness is just I'm not able to get up, but I'm out of danger. I was on steroids and all, but with home quarantine, I could fight this battle with the support of my family and friends. And in my school, none of the cases there, but in my building, cases were there. So I'm trying to come out of that. I thought this is the best platform and best opportunity. I may share my experience with you. The only plus point was my oxygen levels were maintained, maybe due to good practices of yoga and art of living, what I was doing. The rest things were really no good. I could be saved due to my oxygen level. It was maintained 97, 90. Thank you very much.
I think you answered your question by and large yourself. You've had a healthy lifestyle. It was building your immunity and resistance. You mentioned support system, something I fundamentally believe is the core to fighting something as difficult as a pandemic. And it's the support system. I think we can now only imagine how it would be for somebody who would not have the support system to be in quarantine, in a hospital, or in a city which is not one zone, or even at home without support system. I think it's just a reflection we all need to have. As far as you are concerned, ma'am, just continue doing what you are doing. Follow the doctor's advice and don't stop it at any juncture. And at the same time, there is no hurry to restart full level of functionality. It's okay. The body's taken a hit. It's quite fine. You take rest. You gradually come back to your level of functioning. You don't need to push yourself hard, because you may delay a joining back at full functionality even by, let's say, 45 days. It doesn't matter in a span of 85, 90 years. That's the only thing you should do, because a lot of us sometimes would be in a hurry to restart. And I'll say it's okay. You know, maybe we were working hard enough and you were given a break because you weren't taking it otherwise. But I think support system you mentioned, and I think that's the key, to be honest.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Firstly, Meenakshi ji, आप स्वस्थ रहें और खुश रहें, इसको बोलते हैं. And thank you that you were able to still join the session. And my request is to everyone who have gone through this, please take care of yourself. Very, very important. Jaan hai to jahan hai.
Yes.
Having said this, I will quickly go to the sequence of people we have a lot of questions, which is good in a way. Bhuvna ji, you were there, but then you missed out. If you have a question, you can unmute, please, and then ask your question.
Bhuvna, yes, good evening.
Good evening.
And this is one question I would like to ask for this. You already given some of the guidelines for the students and how to engage the parents also in that. That is my question.
I think parent dialogues by teachers should be a lot more regular. To be honest, it's not very difficult right now to have some of these dialogues because they don't need to physically come and block time. And having interactive groups with parents, especially of parents who are more restless, exam going, 12th class, 10th, some of those kind of parents, new parents whose children were supposed to join and have never got a chance to join. Some of those parents you should keep having conversations with. I think that's the only way forward. Like what we are doing with students, I think the same thing we need to apply with parents.
So much, sir. Thank you so much.
Arvind Singh ji, your question.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Dr. Parekh, I have one suggestion to share from this platform. Because of we are dealing with number of class 12 students, those who are actually passing through kind of anxiety. They are worried about what exactly will be happening to their further studies and all. So can't it be possible at CBSE level in case they may plan for an online objective type questions examinations to be conducted and at least they can proceed further for their further future. Right now, on almost 18 months of studies, and they are just hang on. Can't it be there?
So I may not be the best
Kindly,
person to answer this, but I will still give you my view on this. And this is not an expert's view. I'm just reflecting on what I think about this. My opinion is that this is not an easy decision to make, because we all know that when we shifted from physical to online, we were not able to cater to 100% population of children at 100% time. So those who have limited resources will tend to struggle a lot more. That's one part. But more importantly, a lot more responsibility assurance needs to happen in a longitudinal axis, which is virtually impossible. Because you don't want 10 years down the lane, 15 years down the lane, somebody to have an issue with what happened during the pandemic class 12 exam. I mean, it's just too many layers to this problem. No wonder our boards across the board, I mean, it's not that one board is doing something other than the other board. I think right from the Ministry of Child Welfare, HRD, all of them, and everybody, nobody knows the correct answer. I mean, even right now, if we'll take a dipstick on what we should do, we might have a varied answers. I just feel that in the current scenario, doing what they did probably makes sense. If only this just continues to spiral out, we will have to find some kind of a solution. And like I said earlier, in situations like this, whatever the solution would be, it is not going to be a perfect solution. So that's a difficult part of a pandemic, I guess.
Yeah, quickly telling out the sequence of questions. Chitrakala ji, you go next. After that, Pankaj ji, Ms. Priti Khanna, Mrs. Sawant, Dr. Annapurna, and I could also see Ms. Poonam while she was raising her hand. Poonam ji, if you want to still ask the question, you can go ahead. Dr. Anupama as well is there. Now, this will be the sequence. Chitrakala ji, please, over to you.
Dr. Parekh, it was really good listening to you. I got some very good points, how I can take it forward to my parents and to my students. Keeping that aside, the question which is really curious in my mind since a week is, this is one of my close relative who I know, what has happened is, they had taken the Covishield vaccine, and like, for example, they took it on a particular Saturday. Then after, they say, you may have a fever and fatigue and so many other things for 3-4 days. After that particular time also, even after a week, they still continued having fever and cough. And one person said that he still has no sensation in his, the smelling. He felt he couldn't smell things. So at that point of time, when they had gone for a test, they gave their samples for test. And after 10 days, they were, when the result came, it was positive. How is it possible? I'm really confused on this, because they say vaccine, whether it is because of the vaccine or whether they were infected earlier, it's a little confusing for me.
I don't think it's an easy answer, certainly not for me, because I come from a mental health specialty.
Okay.
But let me put it like this. No vaccine worldwide has ever been 100% solution to almost any problem whatsoever, which applies to a vaccine, which is right now also. But it also is our best fight, which clearly evidence is showing that has happened. And what is evidence right now? Evidence is about what? Not even 90 days. Right?
Okay.
So even today, when people talk about evidence, we'll know evidence a lot more, let's say, in a very long time. Right now, the evidence is 2 dosages of vaccination seem to be making a significant impact. Yes, some people after that are also having, which is documented worldwide. And that's exactly why worldwide, and again, WHO is also saying this again and again, our governments are also saying that you take the vaccine, you do COVID-appropriate behavior, And once it covers a large part of the population, we should be in a better position, like some countries slightly have started becoming so. I don't think there's any other way to look at it. My take on this, and here I'll be a mental health expert, my take on this is I'll just do what the guidelines say and follow it absolutely undilutedly, because that is my role right now.
Yeah.
The moment I start getting inquisitive and seeks answers to questions which may not have clear-cut answers right now, I am vulnerable to reaching resources or sources who would not be able to distinguish between their right hand from their left and having opinion about everything. And I think that's what has created both the panic and the earlier pseudo safety that we were into, because we were reading more on WhatsApp and forwards and less medical literature.
Thank you so much. Because it was a real confusion in my head, whether it's due to the vaccine or whether it was infected. I couldn't understand it. That's why I thought I'll just ask you about it. Thank you.
Mr. Pankaj, please go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Gaurav, and Dr. Taib also is here. It's no problem. My question is a little bit, just beside the circle we call it. One incident happens with, I was just taking the virtual classes at the 9th standard, the 9th grade. And I was just, because the class is going about the stress less as well as the anxiety, just decreasing of the anxiety like this one. I just making them understand, my kids, regarding the how the stress less should be there and how just they have to face for the examinations, etc. One of the students is asking, one of the students asked me, just seeing my ring as well as this stone. So, sir, will it affect on just making the stressless, just doing all these things? Do you understand what I mean to say? Hello?
I couldn't understand your question. Lots of times it was breaking. Otherwise, Gaurav, if you heard, if you can just say.
Pankaj, can you repeat your question, because I think your network has some problem. Please go ahead in crisp. Yeah.
One of the virtual class, my student asked me, when the class was going on, I was telling them regarding the anxiety less as well as the stress-free educations and how to create the atmosphere in the home and their atmosphere itself. Mm-hmm. But one of the students of mine asked me, seeing my ring, is it, and the stone it has that. He was asking me, does it affect over there? Or will it helpful us to make the stressless educations, the stressless atmosphere in the home itself? Okay. So, seeing Miss Doctor's hand up, and the rings also there, that this lets me ask the question because it's going to be anxiety. So that's why I asked you. This is little bit circle out of circle.
No, I get that question a lot, so I'm happy to answer that. This is on my mother and not on me, and it keeps my home very, very well functional. That she says wear it and I wear it. Right? It's as simple as that as far as I am concerned. To say that there is any evidence that it will have an impact on my serotonergic secretions, which is the root cause of anxiety disorders, I don't quite think so there is anything to do that. But yeah, it keeps home a happy place. Because rather than getting into an argument about, no, I don't want to wear it, and she'll say, no, you have to wear it, and I'll say, no, I don't have to wear it. Simple one, she says, wear it, I just wear it. I'm 50, but when you live in the part of the world that you live in, you say yes to your mom.
Dr. Sawant, your question. Yes.
It is out of circle little bit question, because sometimes the kids ask like these questions and we just unable to give the answers there.
Give the honest answer. Give the honest answer the way it is. If you believe in it, you say it and tell why. If you don't, you say why. You also accept that, well, you are doing it, but it's not something that say as it comes and be honest about it. Honesty is the easiest answer more often than not. It's a covering up which takes more words. Honesty is easy.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Dr. Sawant, your question, please.
Thank you, Gaurav, and good evening, Dr. Parekh. I have a question for you. Psychologists these days are discussing about social regression among young adolescents. So, is it because they are locked up at home? It's been almost 18 months they have lived with their peers. They hardly get to get out of home because of the restrictions that are there. And again, now with the kind of partial lockdowns that are there in the cities, I also find that children are craving to get back to school, and they want to be with their peers, mingle with them, interact with them, which has not been possible. So do you think what psychologists are talking about social regression is really happening?
No, it's not. There is nothing like social depression. And I think all the people that have been trying to exaggerate the entire meaning around this whole isolation and quarantine are not doing justice to the concept. We are physically distancing ourselves to ensure that we break the chain of a contagious virus from going to one person to another. Nobody's stopping us in not staying connected with each other. And in what I just wonder today, when we have the ability, I mean, you and I are coming from different cities, different backgrounds, and we're talking here, looking at each other and having a conversation. If the same pandemic would have happened, let's say 25, 30 years back, just imagine how the Spanish flu would have been. I mean, sometimes the luxury brings us a strange sense of narcissistic stupidity that we do what we do. And I do feel that even people from all fraternities, be it healthcare, be it mental health like us, our job is to help people ease, calm, guide, not to talk about trends and, oh, this has increased and, oh, that has increased. I don't think so. I do not think that mental health problems and people reaching to mental health experts has drastically increased in COVID. I think that's factually incorrect. Because the number has been increasing for the past 15, 20 years, every few months to year, because of continuous awareness and accessibility. In any case, how do you make it, how do you say which part of it is because of what reason? I think we talked about it so much, and then we started this saying, oh, I've gone back to my favorite restaurant when the earlier, when the trends had started coming down, and we were so much focused on having a perception of our life that in any case was not healthy and wanting to get back onto it. I just don't think that is quite the case. I think whereas urban loneliness was a reality before COVID also. See, I had written a book. It's still not out. And the book was supposed to come in February 2020. It was called Alone in the Crowd, and I had written on urban loneliness. This is before COVID happened. Because COVID happened, obviously the publisher at that time thought that let's delay it a little bit. So we delayed it, and then now I think we'll bring it back. So it was all ready. It was just about to go. I mean, the printing has happened, everything was done. So urban loneliness and loneliness was there pre-COVID in any case. For us to allow ourselves to believe that COVID exaggerated it is factually not true, because for more people, COVID actually brought them back to people who meant something to them. More people have talked to alumni in the last year. Most people have talked to their friends and distant cousins in the last year. Most people are regularly in touch with their extended family. So I think we need to also look at that balance, and every part of the fraternity, every responsible person needs to be careful about what they put out there. Because once it's out there, it's out there. And, as they say in the modern day times, in the world of IT, there is no deletion. If it's there, it's there. It will never go.
Well said.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank
Dr. Parekh. Dr. Anupama Mishra, I'm just quickly telling three more sequence, which is three leaders who will join us next for the question. Dr. Anupama, your question. Smriti Khanna, your question. And then Satyaji. After that, Pooja Malik and Miss Anju Arora after that. And I think, Poonamji, if you can, before any one of them asks, Poonamji, do you have a question? If you can ask that question, and then we go to the original sequence. Yeah, please.
So, Gaurav, I just wanted to share, talking about what Dr. Parekh said on leadership style. And I thought I'll just share something that we started doing in our school, which has been very, very helpful for our students. So what we did was that we started making care calls to our children. The class mentor would call up on rotation every single child just to ask how the child is doing. And if they were facing any difficulties as far as the academics was concerned, she would, then take time to explain to the parent that this is what needs to be done and this is how they can go across. And I started doing the same thing with my own teachers. So I made care calls to every teacher, just asking how they were feeling, how they were doing. And it brought a great sense of positivity and parents were extremely happy. We thought that now that the school will open physically, we won't need, we should continue with that practice. But unfortunately, there's been a lockdown. So just wanted to ask Dr. Parekh, does it really help to stay connected in this manner, and what more can be done so that we can bring a sense of positivity and a sense of well-being amongst our fraternity?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt, staying connected is the best way we can feel togetherness in our experience. And it's in our togetherness where all our solutions are lying. You should just continue doing that. And like I said earlier, young people are on social media. There's no point telling them not to be there. You just tell them how to be there in a constructive manner. That's something that we've started doing. And we've had some remarkable results of utilizing young minds into making an impact on advocacy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Anupama Mishra. Dr. Anupama Mishra, your question. Smriti Khanna, your question, please. Ms. Smriti Khanna, your question.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. And good evening, Gaurav. Thanks for bringing everyone on the platform. I had two very specific questions from Dr. Parekh. Number one, how can we control the weakness level that comes in during this pandemic? And number two, should we take drinks like Electrol and all that to overcome the weakness or not?
I'll give you an honest answer. I have no idea. Right, and I would have also called up my internist colleagues at the hospital telling me कि यार करना क्या बता दो जो पीना पी लेते हैं जो खाना खा लेते हैं. I don't know. Psychological immunity comes easily to me. Physical immunity, I'm not sure. I would just go by your doctor's advice. Keep in and just follow the advice during these times. I think the good old GP needs to take care of the family, and the family needs to trust the GP. That's the way forward.
Good evening and Jai Hind, Gaurav.
Yeah, go ahead, Anupama ji. I can see you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening and Jai Hind. And
Jai Hind.
I don't have a question, but I just initiated a practice in my institution. That's what I want to share.
Oh, please.
But situation is not good at all. Right now, Varanasi is in a bad state. And instead of being a mast shahar, it has become a jiddi shahar now. During the Holi and all, like the kind of crowd, the kind of liberty the people took, it has worsened the situation all around with no hospitals, no vaccine, no medicines available. And moreover, lockdown, teachers again, being confined into homes, again coming on online classes. It really made everyone so anxious and so depressed again. Even me, like feeling so low from last 1 week, like feeling depressed and so anxious, suddenly witnessed the death of 3 close relatives like Pupaji, Masaji and all. It was very difficult to adjust to the situations. You keep running with mask, double mask, looking for remdesivir, looking for blood platelets, you don't get anywhere. Oxygen cylinders not available, making the people lying on the entrance of the hospitals and clinics pretty bad. So somehow, and the teachers giving frantic calls. Around 40 to 50% of the teachers in my school are COVID positive today. Or if they are not, their husband, their children are. Right now also, like someone also lost a wife, and 3 teachers right now are in ICU. So praying. Sunbeam Annapurna lost one of the employee today. So we were all like feeling so low throughout the day, crying, news. You can't feel like reading the newspaper or listening to the update on the newspaper. So somehow, day before yesterday, I had to, contain all my strength. If I can, I as a leader of such a big institution, I'm going to be so weak. What about the people who are working with me? So I had to, consolidate all my energy, and block-wise, I started calling the teachers on the Zoom. And it was, the code we kept for the Zoom meeting was happiness. And just talked about them, the Rhonda Byrne's secret, think positive, you will get positive. This time shall pass. So I spent 40 to 45 minutes with every segment, even office staff, support staff. Somehow I spoke. I lost one of my guard also at Varuna itself just yesterday in the evening. So I had to pump them in, be positive. Just be on your, watch on your guards, take home remedies, thoda ajwain lo, potli banao, like, making them informal, making them smile. People were crying on the Zoom. But ultimately, when the meeting ended, it was like a bubble time. Sabse puchna, sabke bachon ke liye puchna. It gave me such a beautiful connect. Gaurav, I can't explain to you. We are in the same storm, but someone has a yacht, someone has a canoe, and someone has nothing today. But we came on the same platform. We did not hug each other, physically, but we did embrace each other's feelings virtually. And that made my meetings ending beautifully. We got connected with each other, even though someone cried, someone smiled. But I think I tried to make a little difference to their feelings in yesterday's and today's time. So that's I wanted to share, and I wanted to urge, get connected to your people, meet them. All of you are the principals. There are so many people working under you. And right now, everything is not okay. Everything is not okay. Let's hold their hands. That's what I had to share. Thank you.
बहुत difficult phase से गुजर रही हैं आप अनुमा जी. But having said this, we are all with you. And आप जो कर रही हैं as a leader, वो तो phenomenal है ही है. आपने अपने टीचरों के साथ इतना सारा time spend किया. But from our side,
thank you. That's what I wanted to share with everyone.
With you as well. Okay. Yeah.
No, absolutely. In fact, very humbling and very overwhelming to hear you. And what you mentioned is the stark reality of our life. And what is not in our control, we understand it. But compassion is in our control. Staying connected is in our control. So even when we know that we are against all possible odds, but if we get compassion from people who are immediately around us, all these talks about loneliness and isolation will be all lost, because the true connections are there. And in your times of distress, when you know you can get a call, you don't have to do anything more than even a call at times. And I think that's the whole leadership aspect, which I was also talking about. Leadership in a crisis is about compassion.
Sharmila ji, your question.
Good evening, Gaurav ji. Good evening, Dr. Parikh. I'm Sharmila Chatterjee from Billabong High International School in Noida. And I'm sure you stay close by, so you know what Noida is and how things are happening. And I can completely, 200% empathize with what Dr. Anupama just said, because it is more or less similar situation with my school as well. However, I just want to reiterate that since last year when the lockdown started, we actually started off with this practice of doing care calls, talking to every child, the class mentor, talking to every child every 3 days, 4 days. We were ensuring that we connect with the children, with the parents. We did not discuss academics. For that, we had a different platform, the PTMs, etc. We had a wonderful session in the last academic year. We started our session also well on time. However, I agree with Dr. Parikh, whatever he said, that the COVID appropriate behavior was definitely not there, which resulted in such a chaos. And so my question to Dr. Parikh is, that, with the senior children, I feel they are a little better equipped to deal because they can express themselves. They have their friends to talk to. And we have our counselors who are made available 24/7. Their numbers are given. Parents, teachers, children can call up anytime they wish to speak to them. My question is for children who are in preschool. They are losing out on their social-emotional development because parents are so scared to send them out. Some of the parents have started working. So there is a kind of, an anxiety which is coming up. And I really don't know how to counsel these parents. What is it that they can do? If suppose they have siblings, it's good. But if they don't have a sibling, if it's just one child at home, 3+, 4+, 5+. So if you can guide and suggest some ways by which, we can reach out to these parents.
I think your role would be essentially more of a motivator to the parents, where you give them a compassionate hearing, guidance, you accept, validate their difficulties, and remind them that in these times, they'll still have to find time, one way or the other, to give stimulation to children, and what kind of stimulation can be given. So motor stimulation, social stimulation, cognitive stimulation, something on those lines. That's what your role is. For the young children, the role of the family, the parent and the immediate family is far more than the teacher in these times, because they are not coming to you. And you can do very limited work virtually with that 5, 6, 7-year-old. Very, very limited work is possible. Even that work, you will need a lot more attention, shorter duration, lesser kids, still needing a parent. There are too many variables to it. I think parental guidance, validation, motivation is the role that school could play with younger kids. Because parents will have to use the stimulation role here. And however frustrated it may be for them or for children, they can't be going out. That's an absolute non-negotiable no. Children can't be going to playgrounds to play right now.
Absolutely. One more question, Dr. Parikh. This is something which, when you're overburdened with so much of anxiety around you, you are constantly counseling your teachers, your children, your parents. You do as a leader, there are times when you actually feel like breaking down. So any tip, anything?
You break down for a while. That's okay. You can break down by yourself and talk to somebody whom you can feel comfortable sharing that. I mean, there are times when I would clearly want to break a few things and release an ice cream, and I can't. So
of course, everybody need these tips first for the principal first, then rather than teachers and students.
We're all human beings. We'll have your moments, your vulnerabilities. How do we deny that? I mean, if a pin will prick you, it will bleed. I mean, we've not become stones or robots, so accept it. Keep your own channels of communication open with people with whom you can be your own self and not the principal or the leader. The individual you relating to the individual other is how you take care of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Final 3 questions. Pooja Malik, your question, Ms. Anju after that, and Induji will close with your question. Pooja, your question. Go ahead, please.
Hi. Hello, Dr. Parikh. Sorry. I'm in my 3rd day of isolation right now, just suffering from, though my test has come COVID negative, but people think it's a false negative, so I'm still in isolation. The thing is that, of course, we were talking about, I mean, my question was very similar on how to support a small child, because we have my COVID positive. So now the child is alone on this floor. I am also isolated. Parents are isolated on the 1st floor. He's got a baby sister who was a COVID baby. She's only 1 year old. She's with the parents. So now he's just sitting in the center of the table and listening to EDM music. So I don't know. what would be the best? I mean, of course, I feel helpless because usually he used to spend time with me and I would take care of him and, you know, keep him entertained and do stuff. But now what do we do? Like, he's like on his own. Like, my mother is old, so she's isolated separately.
Okay. It's about 14 odd days.
So can we allow him to watch, you know, because see, now he would want to watch cartoons and everything. Is it okay to just let him be?
Absolutely free. It's about 14, 15 days freely.
Yeah.
Unhindered, undiluted. Just take care of the parental controls. Everything else is fine.
Any amount of sweet is okay. He's
You're talking to a Gujarati. Of course, sweets are fine. I mean, eat as much as you want to. I mean, feel free. No, I would say nothing to the child. I would let the child be and enjoy and consider this as a vacation without parents. Right? And your child's well-being is far more important. And in 15 days, he's not going to have so many sweets that it's going to cause some kind of a problem.
Of course. So, yeah, I was just thinking that hopefully people outside, there are only 2 young kids handling the smaller kids. So hope that nobody is really, you know, bossing him around.
Okay. Count the days, 14, 15 days and he'll be gone.
All right, good. So we'll let him enjoy. Cool. Thank you so much. That's all I wanted to know. And any tips for me, because I have another 11 days to go in this room. And
keep doing what you're doing right now. Keep virtually connected in any way, which way you can. Just don't push yourself. Don't fatigue yourself. Follow medical advice strictly. Do both work-related academic kind of stimulation and the recreation stimulation as well. And take care of all the medical advice that's given to you.
Right.
Most people do very, very well. And actually nothing happens. It's like a cold.
I know.
That's about it, and we need to, that's
great.
About
it. Thank you so much.
Anju, your question, please.
Good evening, Gauravji and Dr. Parikh there. My question has already been taken by Mrs. Sharmila Chatterjee, and I already got the answer. But one thing that I would like to request to Dr. Parikh is about educating parents on a larger scale that life is much more bigger than the exams. Since the class 10th exams have been cancelled and class 12th board exams have been postponed, and parents everywhere are making so much hue and cry, I believe life is much more bigger than the exams. Of course, it impacts the children, those who are going through these times. But yet, if you put the things in bigger perspective, then this year perhaps will not be making a big difference. Yes, talking as Mrs. Sharmila Chatterjee has talked about the socio-emotional growth of the pre-primary kids. That was a concern, but then Dr. Parikh, you have already answered. Somehow, I also believe since these are the trends and we are talking more about them, I am in a neighborhood where small children around play a lot. Since again, it's the second wave, they have been confined to the homes, but I do not see that the children are depressed. The children are happy as usual. And the parents are, those who are educated enough, they are providing all those stimulus which are needed for a child's cognitive development, physical development, socio-emotional development, everything parents are taking. Yet I request Mr. Gaurav, you too also, let us go on this drive to educate majority of the parents that life is much, much more bigger than the exams.
Actually what you are saying is quite right. In fact, I think it's difficult to do things on a large scale. I think it's much easier to do it at a micro level, which means if all schools, like you have 150 odd educationists here, if all of you decide that you will educate your parents.
Yeah, that's a good way, and we definitely are doing
correct. And keep doing that, utilize external experts so that the neutrality perception of the parents is left.
Dr. Parikh, coming from your mouth, of course, we keep telling and parents have trust in us, they understand also. But coming from the people like you, it makes more impact.
No, I agree. And it's more about neutrality more than anything else. Yeah. And you see somebody as an expert in a certain field, so sometimes that's about...
I definitely found you on a very positive note, and I was very happy that we are not making the things blowing out of the proportion. The problems are there, the challenges are there, but then we are equipped. we can understand and we can follow the COVID appropriate behavior.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr. Parikh. I won't take much time. Thank you so much, Gaurav, you too.
Induji, your question?
Sorry to interfere, Gauravji, I have one suggestion. As the year leaders are also have a lot of initiative to face. So why don't you share the numbers in case anyone want to talk to each other with their permission? They can talk to each other because most of them is isolated and they want to talk because they can find within one room. Because if leaders are get more past you, they will going to influence with the parents as well as the students. If anyone willing, I'm ready for that, so that we mutually talk to each other. I'm ready here. You can share my number to anyone, sir.
That's a good suggestion.
Anytime, 24/7.
When I'm ready.
Yeah. 24/7. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Keep that in mind. Induji, your question?
Yeah, no question. I just wanted to add, to take care of health of the leaders, I have a suggestion, though everybody knows it, I'm just reiterating. They can hop from one student session to another session. You can virtually meet your children every day, especially pre-primary and primary children. They're a source of joy. Another request to Mr. Yadav, have one virtual session in a week. We'll all stay healthy, positive, and sane.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's a great idea. 1 year, and for the past 2 months, none of the virtual session happened for the leaders. There should be some punishment. So we stay healthy. Reality is this, I think every leader would agree, it's such a beautiful time to stay connected virtually and we remain sane.
No, certainly, I'll pardon me for the gap I created, but having said this, I'll take your advice very, very seriously.
That's a request.
No, absolutely. And completely out of time, but I think Ruchi, we'll take you as a final question, and then we'll say thank you to everyone who was part of this conversation today. Ruchi ji, over to you. Keep it brief, please.
Good evening, everyone. Most of the questions are answered, but still I'm a junior college lecturer and I'm teaching physics and maths to 12th standard students. So actually what I can see is, since now it is extended, so they are facing a lot of problems. 10th standard, it is declared no exams will be there. So they are in a dilemma. Still, we are taking online classes, so that teachers are taking, so they will be motivated. So what I want is that since it is a huge platform, so, and even the sir is from 40s psychology department. So if it's you can conduct some of the online some classes or Zoom some meetings for the students, that this period till the government declares what will be the result for 12th standard, how they can maintain the study level also, because past May month they are preparing and most of the time they say now it is too much, especially science and accounts. If you will talk about it, they will say no, we don't want to. But if they just leave now, and after 1 month exam will be conducted, so again they will be in a stress that they have to do complete revision in small amount of time or something. Apart from that, the area from which we belong, we don't have good financial background parents. So for them, psychology or counseling is having a certain, they don't take it in an open manner the way we take. So I just want to see how to, if such sessions will be conducted, like the ma'am said, every week. So if it is guided to us, so that we can guide the parents that how you should take and what recreational activities students can do at home by being locked, 12th standard students, so that they can just study also. Apart from that, they will be just they will be cool and relaxed, and they can just deal with the stress level and all. So if you can suggest 2-3 things I want for parents also, what kind of guidance we can give. Webinars can you conduct for students in Thana or Mulund, any such in Mumbai city or something? And what kind of recreational activities can you suggest for 12th standard students? So
a couple of things at the outset. I'll be happy to support this. I'm happy for Fortis and IPN to work on this together. We also have experts in almost 14-15 languages. So if you want, we could do a session in, let's say, Marathi, we could do it in Gujarati, we could do it in Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu. So we have about 14 language experts in any case. And we can So that's taking care of the vernacular component as well. Very happy to look at some kind of dialogue series, which is open to students, which is essentially for grade 12 students, which is around coping with uncertainty and what best they can do. And we can do that. This is not a tough one. I mean, both if IPN does it, we'll be more than happy to support. You can reach out to us as well. Whichever way, I mean, it's not about what platform, who does, what does, it doesn't matter. Our goal is to reach children. Drop in a mail, we'll take care of it. More than happy to do this. As far as activities are concerned, there are no specific answers. There are no specific activities. It comes down to individual personalities of the kids. You know, somebody likes art, somebody likes music, somebody likes reading, somebody likes something. So you encourage them to keep doing that. I think that needs to be the goal. And no matter what we say, there is uncertainty. Uncertainty brings anxiety. We accept it as a reality that we can't fight.
Gaurav, can I just share one feeling, what I felt in the session today? I'll tell you, I'm really overwhelmed and moved today. I have to thank Dr. Parekh for that, and you as well. And I'm sure that, you know, I can see from Mrs. Sharma and her thing, you know, she wants to be connected with people. I can see the people we are, even though we are leaders, you know, we want to meet people. As she said, you know, now we are trying to get connected better. It's not for the connection for prospects. It's just to be having the feel that we have somebody here and there. It is so, I have to thank both of you for this. I'm thanking, you know, from all our behalf.
I should actually, I mean, though we only know each other for 1.5 years now, which is Dr. Parekh, but I am usually very frugal in my praise, to be very honest. I'm not that magnanimous, but I should really compliment Dr. Parekh the way he has been actually working tirelessly, if I may say, that's the word I can use. And to be honest, it's not about free or about money. The passion which he brings to the conversation, and I have to always just drop in one message to, as a dear friend, if I may say, I can take that liberty and say, he being my friend, that he is always, without even asking me, Gaurav, how will you do this and where will I do this? He says, let's do this. So my sincere thank you to Dr. Parekh, and more than that, you all are absolutely free to make use of Dr. Parekh's capabilities, absolutely not just through IPN. Please, IPN never wants to be that, I mean, I would say a block in the path. It is always about creating navigations for you. Please do it directly. Please do it whichever way you are most comfortable with him, because I feel they are very proactive in their approach. They are very reachable. They're very much approachable, if I may say, and this should reach as many people as I. That's my aim. And I'm very clear about my thought process, which is what we are looking at. IPN obviously will continue to do what we are doing, because at the end of the day, we need to take care of various aspects of things to begin with. However, mental well-being is at present a very, very important aspect. And as I think Dr. Parekh pointed out, we will work with his team. We'll carve out a calendar and we will try to address one session for, say, example, teachers, students, and whatever for that matter. That is something which I can certainly devote my time on along with Dr. Parekh for that matter. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. I thought that we were boring you for all the last 1 year. So hence I took a break of 2 months, and I needed a break, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, I personally feel that this break wasn't really a break. I think we could have continued doing, because you are needing us, and we need you either which way, if I may say so. So we will continue it at a weekly on a popular demand. It will be a weekly session without fail.
Thank you. Yeah.
No matter it is a dance show or a singing competition, we'll do something.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
That's good. That's good on your part.
Also, thank you, Bagamaljeet ma'am. Good to have you, and
thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Soon. Hope to see you.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself, and please take care.
Thank
you, everyone.
Thank you,
Dr. Parekh, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Parekh.
Pleasure, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Parekh and Gaurav. It was really nice session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.